Hello and welcome back. In this video we're going to be closing off on users and groups and permissions and etc. So let's get going. There are a few more things you need to know as far as users and groups and permissions and all that are concerned, and one of which is the chown command, the Gpasswd command, and two special configuration files for managing users and password, in which both of them can be found in the /etc directory. The first one is the passwd file and the other one is the shadow, both in etc. To get us moving, we are going to create a user, a group, and let's follow along. So first off, I'm going to create a new user. Remember our user add command, and this time around I'm going to create Fabian. And by the way, Fabian is one of the amazing mentees we have at Diary.io. I told him his name was going to be coming up in one of the videos. I'm sure he's going to be excited his name made it through eventually. So alright, so don't forget to use sudo. Remember, we have to use the elevated permissions for my password, and we're going to be creating a user with the command group add. And this time around, Fabian is going to be a senior dev. And for that reason, Fabian is going to be a senior dev on this computer. So user mod -a Fabian -g senior dev. And remember what the capital G is, which is basically to append the senior dev group to any other group that Fabian already belonged to. And don't forget to use your sudo. Now right now Fabian wouldn't be able to connect to this computer because he doesn't even have a password. But before I set the password for Fabian, I'd like to introduce you to that file I mentioned the other time. So sudo cat etc password, and what I will do is to use the grep command, and to grep that I would be using this pipe. So basically, remember the whole concept around standard output. So we're passing the standard output and piping it into grep so that we can filter out Fabian. As you can see, Fabian does exist in this file, and the first one right here, of course, Fabian, which is the name, and the X here represents the password, meaning Linux is managing the password on this computer through another file called the shadow file. So let's first of all check if Fabian does exist here. Even though we haven't actually created a password for Fabian, Fabian wouldn't be able to connect to this computer anyway, but of course there's already an entry in that file. Now let's actually create the password. Sudo passwd is the command to create a password for Fabian, and we will set Fabian's password. Updated successfully, and let's see if we have an entry in the shadow file. As you can see, now it's been updated with the actual password. Now of course this wasn't the password I entered because I didn't even type this long, but what you're seeing is an encrypted version of what I typed in, and what I typed in was just Fabian. The way Linux handles this is really fantastic, because even if anyone gets access onto the server, they won't be able to see the actual password because everything is encrypted. To wrap this video up, I'm gonna introduce you to one more command. Let's do an ID on Fabian. Sure enough, we can see he's a senior dev. What if we want to remove Fabian from this senior dev group? For some reason, he's not been doing well as a senior developer, and we just want to revoke that access from him. Well, there's a tool, a program called Gpasswd, which is the administrative command to manage groups. And you can explore this by putting the -h command to see what the other flags can do. So you can add user, you can delete user, you can do a bunch of other things, remove password, restrict. And what I'd like to do right now is to delete Fabian from the senior dev group. So I'll say sudo Gpasswd -d. I'll say the name of the user and the name of the group, as you can see, removing user Fabian from senior group and ID on Fabian. He's no longer a senior developer. Poor Fabian. Well, it turns out Gpasswd is not the last thing I wanted to show you on this video. There's one more command, which is this ChangeOwner. Now let's do an ls on the current directory where we are currently in the home direct desktop. Now remember this file we'll be using. What if currently Dare is the owner of this learning Linux file? What if I want to change the ownership from Dare to Fabian? Well, chown, which is change ownership, is the command that comes to the rescue. So I can do chown Fabian, and I can specify the group. As you can see, you can either use dot or colon, both works. And I specify this file. I need to use sudo for that to work, and let's do an ls again. And as you can see, Fabian is the owner of this file right now, but Dare, which is a group in this case, remember this group was created when I was creating the Dare user. Anytime you create a user and you don't specify a group it's going to belong to, it creates a default group in the name of the same user, and that's the reason why we have Dare here. Okay, so this is where we're going to be ending our discussions on users and groups and permissions and all that. I do hope this has been very informative for you, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, don't forget, subscribe, like, hit the notification button, and I'll see you in the next video.